Starfleet Underground. Every week, we'll take a look at the latest Star Trek news and then check out a current or classic episode of Star Trek. Get ready for some DEF CON level fun. Somebody gets way too excited about the blast shield. Did you know there was some animated Trek in the 1970s? We get up and take another look at the Children of Mars and possibly snag a red angel. Is it just me or is the Turbolift slow today? And we take a moment to remember Grant Imahara.
Where's that coffee mug? I could have sworn I put it down. Wait, the light's on. Hey, welcome to Starfleet Underground. We are here and we have a guest today, somebody who you've recognized before. We actually did a smash and grab to get him again. We caught him out in the middle doing some sort of gardening. He's not properly dressed for this, but that's okay because you can't see him. So my name is Nathan and we have on here Ryan.
Hello. I'm back. It's good to be back with everybody I know and love here.
Yes, he's back.
I am gardening, like you said, Captain Adams. I'm getting a nice suntan, so I'm gardening, getting all my vegetables and everything that Section 31 is making me grow.
Yeah, we've noticed that the change in weather made some other parts of you there grow. We've adjusted the ambient temperature, so you should be comfortable again. So sorry about that. We got Heather's been working in engineering to try to get all of our stuff together. So Heather,
yep.
Can you hear me in there?
Yes, we can hear you in here. It's pretty loud in here, but please don't mind us. And I found your coffee. Tribbles got it, and they're drinking it, and now they're multiplying into coffee tribbles.
Wait,
so we got a little bit of a problem.
They can move and carry stuff now?
On their back.
What the actual freak?
Yeah.
God dog it.
I saw like a whole group of them, and they had the coffee on their back, and they were just rolling, and the coffee was rolling on their backs with them.
Caffeinated Tribbles?
It's just not a good thing. Not a good thing.
They vibrate more than normal.
In that case, they're all going to be in Patrick's room. Speaking of which, Patrick, you here?
Yes, I'm here, but there ain't no Tribbles in my room.
Yeah, not yet.
especially not at 3 a.m.
Oh, no, that's what Section 31 is in your room.
Ring toss.
Ring toss.
And then we have Rocky.
Good. Is it morning? I guess morning.
I don't know what time is it. What does the Galactic Center says it is?
It's so windy in here because she's got the ventilation cranked up. My hair is just like straight out. Straight out. But it's very, very comfortable. It's just a little more ventilated than normal.
My hair's never straight.
We would be able to see the clock down here, but a couple Tribbles were blown up against the clock, and now they can't
They won't
go
move.
anywhere.
I can see it's like 7 something, but I don't know what the rest of it is because the Tribble's right in front of it.
Oh, jeez.
It's amazing. In the 24th century, they still use fans on starships.
It's a primitive method, but it works.
Yeah.
As I was told, it's the best way to blow something. So, and fans are good with that. So we're good. So now that's everybody on board the ship. Heather's been working on the mycelial. They took my coffee, so I'm not going to pronounce it right. The spore drive, in order we can actually do transportation back and forth instantaneous.
Yep,
so,
that way we could pick up our guests a little bit easier, because going back and forth to pick up guests, it takes a while.
And also, Patrick, you need to fix the automatic warning on the computer, because we were testing the spore drive and it looks like there were some alien ships coming in that we didn't recognize if they're friend or foe. When I went to go ahead and do a black alert jump, the computer responded, cannot fast travel when enemies are near. So I think that's a little bit too much in video game. So we need to see if we can fix that. Okay.
Just so needy.
Yeah, but I just want to make sure we can get that going over there. Well, Section 31 does sponsor us, and how fitting, because we're going to be talking about them today. And this is the podcast where the Tribbles are always hungry.
Hungry posed.
We had any corrections from last week?
Nope.
Dare we say we're flawless again? How friggin' cool is that?
Yeah.
At some point, there's going to be somebody that writes like 7 paragraphs of things. We're just going to get like, show number 17, you said this. On show number 18, you said this. And it's just going to be a matter of time before it gets to our email.
And we'll be like, thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you very much for listening. We appreciate it. Thank you for your comments.
That's always a good thing.
Yeah, isn't that how I originally got on the show? I wrote Heather like a 12-page email or something like that.
Yeah, she's like, we got to get we got to get this guy to shut up, so let's put him on the show.
Pretty much. Get this guy to stop writing emails.
That's how we get people.
Yeah. It was like a 12-volume set that I wrote, Section 1, But yeah, Heather's like, just get on the show and stop writing me damn emails.
I was wondering.
Just keep it at 12, because once you get up to 31, they get really upset.
Yeah.
Well, I was confused because she had it on audio, and I thought she had company in the room because I just kept hearing the computer spilling out all of this stuff. It's like, it's email time. Okay, that makes sense.
Sometimes I have the computer read me the emails because I just can't look at all those emails. There's too many emails.
Yeah, see, that's a good advantage. Speaking of emails, does anybody have any news for this week?
So we like to be happy and chipper for this podcast, and sometimes you just can't, especially in the crazy times of this world. But we kind of lost one of our own this week. Earlier in the week, I found out that Grant Imahara from Mythbusters passed away.
Oh, man.
He was 49 years old and was a brain aneurysm of some kind. And so sudden and so quickly. And you realize he is one of our own. He's been involved in the love of science fiction that we all have, because he was one of the guys that worked with ILM when the new Star Wars movies came out. He was instrumental in making the R2-D2s and stuff work, and all of that stuff with ILM. He worked with Adam Savage as well back in those days before Mythbusters. And of course, on Mythbusters, he would come up with all the, the cool contraptions and stuff when they do all the experiments. He was an amazing individual. And of course, you would walk by him once in a while at like a Star Trek convention because he was a fan too. In fact, he was in some of the fan films that were made.
That's so cool.
So, I mean, he was, of course, he was the Sulu, as it were. It was just such a cool character. And my timeline like lit right up with all the people that actually knew him. And some of the people that are friends of friends knew him. And some of my friends even knew. I was just like, wow, that he touched so many people that I know, and some of the ones that I don't know, but just follow.
Same here. We follow the same people, the people who go to the Star Trek convention, who go to all of the other Star Trek conventions. And there's so many great pictures of just everyone that we knew who had pictures with him. And everyone had all these really wonderful things to say about him. It's like nobody had anything bad to say. It was just all wonderful and just amazing. And we lost someone way too young.
Yeah, that really hit me hard because the couple of times that I've met him, of course, being at the Star Trek convention, and he actually stopped by our booth, you really can't put words on his spirit. He has such a generous, warm, caring spirit. And I, of course, enjoyed his work on Mythbusters, and I watched White Rabbit on Netflix as well. So we've lost another influential person. And of course, he just really knocked it out of the park, and Star Trek continues on YouTube. He's going to be missed.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the sad news.
Oh, I'm just looking at the article. I forgot he worked on the Jeff Peterson robot for the Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson. And so if you know Jeff Peterson, then you realize that he was part of that cheeseball robot that was awesome.
He also did R2-D2, worked on R2-D2.
And then Energizer Bunny's a big one.
Yeah.
Still going. There goes the Energizer. Yeah, I forgot about the Energizer. My goodness.
And the last thing that I remember him doing that he actually had to go against the people who stole his pictures, he did an animatronic version of Baby Yoda.
Yes, it was so incredibly cute.
That's awesome.
I have an acquaintance. My sister's more of a friend of hers than I am, but I met her at one of the conventions once. But she actually got to pose with the Baby Yoda. It was just so friggin' cute. And he made the baby. I was just like, he wasn't assigned or part of the Star Wars Mandalorian. Mm-hmm. He wasn't part. I don't think he was part of that. But he made a Baby Yoda lifelike looking. It's super cute, just like the real thing. It was just like, the guy's had so much skill.
If you ever sat and watched Mythbusters or even White Rabbit, how his energy and personality is exactly the same in real life. I mean, it's really heartbreaking to see him go. And he's a friend also of one of the people that I know by the name of Holly. And she used to hang out with him and his girlfriend and stuff, and had a ton of pictures of him out there socializing. So you get a chance to see even more of his personality from behind the scenes. It's just a shame. And us as men, when we have something wrong with us and we get a headache or something like that, it's like, go to the hospital. I don't want to fucking go to the hospital. I don't. It's a waste of time. And that just about did him. He had a headache and he was manning it out. And who knows if he had went early enough, if it would have done it. Hindsight is 20/20. Even with myself, I know that I had been getting all these symptoms, and family members forced me to go to the clinic to get myself checked out. And when they checked me out, they told me to go to the hospital right then and there. And I go to the hospital, and within 10 minutes of telling them what was wrong with me, they had me in a gurney and admitted me. So,
okay, Captain, I am teleporting you to the medical bay right now, to sick bay right now.
But I'm good now. Except, what did you do? What did you do to that coffee, though?
Oh, well, I wanted to give you a bit of a fun morning.
Uh-oh.
Instead, the Tribbles ran away with it.
They're having a fun morning now.
Well, at least we had a chance to salute him. For those of you who want to get a chance to see more of his work, you can see him on not only Mythbusters, but also on Star Trek Continues on YouTube. You get a chance to see the type of person he was on that, and what an actor he was.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those guys that, is very technical and very hands-on, all this stuff, but at the same time, literally the nicest dude on the planet. I never got a chance to meet him. I probably walked by him 3 or 4 times at a Star Trek convention and didn't even realize it. But I completely respected the guy. I loved his work on Mythbusters and all the other stuff that he's been involved with. So it's very sad. We see all these people. I mean, some of the Mythbusters people I follow, and, they're totally personally affected by this. And lots of friends and fans that you see on Twitter are just like, wow, they knew him too. And just like, is one of the greats, one of our modern day greats.
Grant, you will be missed.
Big time.
Rest in peace.
Big time. And now we'll return back to our regular insanity. Lower decks, lower decks. It's got a blast shield, baby. Blast shield. It turns on, it turns off. We got a blast shield.
Did y'all see that? Wasn't that cool?
Blast shield.
Yeah, I wanted to get your guys. I haven't been quite completely caught up on all the podcasts. I almost am, but I wasn't sure if I missed. I wanted to get your guys' opinion on the new show and what you guys thought of it, the cartoon format, all that. I just wanted to hear your opinion on it.
Well, we're gonna be doing a whole series about it after Discovery season 2.
Oh,
yep.
Okay.
Because we should be finished with Discovery just in time for Lower Decks to premiere.
Whoop, whoop. Yeah.
Right. Which, by the way, Lower Decks is going to be released on Thursday, August 6th, and it will run for 10 weeks on CBS All Access.
I'm looking forward to it. The illustration is good. From what I've seen of the trailer, the comedy seems to be very funny and very intelligent at the same time. So it's things that we would do. I mean, if we were on the Enterprise, this, like Rocky would say, blast shield on, blast shield off, blast shield off, blast shield.
I like the blast shield.
See, when you get the cool tech, I can see that happening. So definitely looking forward. I'm sure everybody will pick out a character and say, that's me, if I was in that situation.
We'll actually finish the Discovery series like the week after Lower Deck starts. So Lower Deck starts on the 8th, you said, Heather?
Yes, on Thursday, August 6th, actually.
6th.
Oh, the 6th. Okay. So we'll actually finish on the 15th with Discovery because we still have 4 more episodes.
Actually, the 4 more episodes, I think one of those is a 2-parter that we can put into one episode.
Okay, then we'll be done on the 8th.
Yeah, so we'll be done on the 8th because I think the last one is a 2-hour finale. So we can watch that. Also, Lower Decks is not an hour. So we can treat the Lower Decks and tag it in the first one like a short, like we did with the Star Trek shorts. And then we can go full goose after that. I think that'll work.
How long are they?
Normally, cartoons don't last an hour. So I'm thinking they're going to be at half an hour.
Okay.
Yeah. I know they've done some Star Trek, like animations and random things in the past, but is this the first real like animated Star Trek series, like the Star Wars, Clone Wars and Rebels?
No, there was a Star Trek original series. They had a cartoon one where they brought most of the characters back to reprise their voices. And if you have CBS All Access on there, it's Star Trek, the animated series. So you'll be able to see that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's really trippy. It's right out of the 70s. And
cool.
it's amazing the quality of animation compared to today's quality of animation. You'll like, what were these people smoking back then when they watched this stuff? Because, oh my God, but animation was primitive back then.
Honestly, if you have like the 50-year-olds and 60-year-olds and 70-year-olds looking at our cartoons nowadays with, SpongeBob SquarePants and, Powerpuff Girls, they'll be like, what the heck kind of animation is this? Our animation was good. This is crap.
No.
But the sci-fi stories are fascinating because it's a cartoon and you can do some special effects in cartoons that you couldn't do shooting actual real life set work. So that aspect of the sci-fi is mind-blowingly cool.
So it's called, Star Trek the Animated Series. It's that simple.
Yep.
God, and it's on CBS All Access.
And one of the things also on there that was really cool is that was one of the first times, or at least Star Trek, where they showed a woman being captain in the Enterprise, and that was Uhura. When all the men gets captured by this female race, they had no resistance against all these female aliens. And Uhura was captain, and she beams down with a bunch of other female officers and just friggin' rules it. So, and that was pretty cool. Yeah. That being said, since we're going on the new segment, sometimes people ask me, well, how do I get all this Trek knowledge? Not only from being older and being around since the beginning.
Ancient.
Yes, very ancient. There's a set of books out there that if you guys want to try to get as much knowledge out there called These Are the Voyages. And it's 3 volumes and they talk about something which is from not only what went on behind the scenes putting Star Trek on the air, but everything up to that, the rewrites, the problems with budgeting, getting actors on board, attitudes, everything. It's almost like they dropped you in a time machine and put you right in the Desilu studio and you get a chance to see just all the stuff they had to deal with, all the personalities, all the budgeting concerns, the prop making, the rewrites, the arguments sometimes between Roddenberry and others, and payments. And it's really, really, really good. So it's interesting to read the book and then watch the episode, and you have your brain full of all the things that happened up until that point.
Didn't I buy those at Vegas one year?
They were there actually to sell the books. And These Are the Voyages.
I think I bought them. I haven't. Where did I put those? Good Lord, I'll have to search my quarters and find them.
Yeah, they're really good.
And it's a 3-volume set?
Yeah, it's 3 volumes.
Awesome.
And they go through, and it's really, really good. I mean, it's really good. I recommend it. And if you yourself are a writer, a little bit of information for you, because, we here at Starfleet Underground love to take care of our fans. If you know about StarTrek.com and you're a writer, they're actually on the hunt for freelance writers for August 2020. So all you got to do is to go to StarTrek.com, and they have on a scroller on there, want to write for StarTrek.com? We're on the hunt for pitches from freelance writers in August 2020 and how to pitch to Star Trek.
That is so cool.
And what was that address again?
It's StarTrek.com.
One more time?
StarTrek.com, right?
Yes, StarTrek.com, all one word, .com. And you'll see a scroller on there. They have Spock, they have Patrick Stewart, and Michael Burnham all standing there.
Gotcha.
Sweet.
And they're just looking for freelancers because I do some freelance work, so I'm definitely going to check that out.
Is it freelance work to write on the blog on the website, or is it freelance work to write a script for the show?
Yeah, it looks like for the website. I didn't see anything about writing for the show.
Okay.
But one never knows how that stuff turns up, because a lot of writers, if you read the one that I just told people about, These Are the Voyages, it really talks about how sometimes they've had people write in with script ideas, and every once in a while they will pick somebody and do a script from somebody who wrote in.
Oh.
So it's pretty cool.
That's really cool.
So one never knows where these ideas come from.
Yeah. Hey, Captain Adams, I was going to ask you, just kind of random, but Were you hooked on the original series when it first came out? Or was it a couple of years after it aired that you really got it?
I was a fan
Right from the beginning?
I was a fan right off the bat.
Gotcha.
Right off the bat, when I was watching it as a basically whoever below that was that age, back when I was like 5-6 years old, and Captain Kirk talked to the computer and it responded, and it was like, I want to work with things like that.
Gotcha.
And that drove me to be in my current profession.
Gotcha.
And
So that's what got me into it.
That's so cool.
And that's how he said it too.
Yep.
That's really cool. Gotcha. So you were hooked right from the beginning.
Yeah, I was right from the start. I was hooked on the show, and I watched it religiously. One of my fond memories is that my dad actually, because TVs were black and white back then. I know what, and my father used to watch it, and I used to watch it with him. But when it came on and says Star Trek was going to be on NBC, proud as a peacock, and they were going to broadcast in color. That was the big thing back then, was TV shows to be in color, because they weren't. Everything was black and white, just like when HD first came out.
Sweet.
He went and bought a color TV set just for Star Trek.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was cool seeing the NBC logo, proud as a peacock, in living color, Star Trek,
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, little history back then.
That's really cool.
Is that why they used base colors like red, green, and blue for the outfits? Is because they wanted to highlight the color TV?
Oh, you watch that's the color choices you watch on Star Trek, the original series, totally driven by color definition of television back then. They wanted it to pop.
Yes, they really did. And there's also on These Are The Voyages, some behind the scenes stuff, is they had so many problems because when they first did the Orion, and they kept sending it in, she kept coming back not being green. And so they kept putting more and more green stuff on her, more and more green, and it kept coming back like it was a regular color. They talked to them and they thought it was something wrong with the film. So the film company kept color correcting her Orion green skin to make it look like a normal complexion. And they had to tell them, no, she's supposed to be green.
Because they tried to fix it. I see.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
they tried
funny.
fixing it.
No. She's supposed to look like nuts.
Yeah, she's supposed to be green.
Yeah.
And so they
That's
kept adjusting the
hilarious.
color. So that's what I mean when you get a chance to find out all kinds of little fun stuff like that there.
Man, can you imagine the guys in the photo lab trying to get the right set of chemicals to look at it and go, whoa, she is so green. What the hell did you do?
Yeah, imagine.
I didn't do nothing, man. I just did the thing. It's like, no. You did something wrong. Let's do it again.
And it's like, why only one person?
No, you know what it probably was? They were probably so gung-ho to have color that they wanted to do the whole color correction thing. They wanted to try it out. Like, she looks green. Oh, hey, this is a perfect time to try out color correction. Let's do this.
Color correction was a bunch of chemicals back then because it was all film. So, it blows your mind if you can just click on it and do it digitally in Photoshop now.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
You can become green without even being green in the first place.
Yeah. And back then you actually had to paint yourself green. And the Andorians, they were blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Andorians were blue.
And then the other one, who was the ones who were black and white? Half their face was black, half was white.
That was one episode, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, Yep, that was one. Let This Be Your Last Battleground.
Gotcha.
That was a good episode.
I forget what their race was called though.
What was their race called? Like, I can't remember.
Now we're going to get emails.
And now we're going to have a correction next week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alexa, what was the name of the black and white race in Star Trek? And she's playing sound effects. Okay, never mind.
Welcome
hilarious.
to the official Star
Alexa,
Trek
stop.
Trivia Skill.
I didn't want us to make trivia. Gosh.
Acknowledge.
This totally backfired.
Have a great morning.
Oh, thank you. Then she beams out. Oh my God. That way oversold what I thought that was going to happen right there.
She was like the least helpful computer ever.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, can we go to warp speed? No, we can't. Sorry.
So here, let me play you an episode of Star Trek.
Hey, Nathan, when you were 5 years old, I bet you didn't imagine Alexa talking to the machine and having to talk back to you.
Oh, no. That was something that I couldn't believe. The concept for technology. Oh, my God. If you would have told me that I could walk around outside with a cell phone, that I could look at videos on demand, I would be like, what? People drag cables behind them? How can I do videos on demand? Is it a warehouse full of like VHS tapes, and somebody's got to pop it in every time you watch it. And then the concept for live TV, to record live TV, was even more because there was no VHS. So nobody knows the thrill of going to the bathroom when your show was on and having someone scream, "It's back on! It's back on!" You got to try to run back to look at it because if you missed
rewind.
no, you couldn't do anything. And God help you if you missed it, you had to wait till the summer because that's when the reruns happened. There was no way to see it if you missed it.
I looked in the archives, and the two main characters on that episode were Lokai and Bailey, Bele, and they were from a planet called Charon, Cheron.
Charon.
Yeah, but it doesn't actually give like a species name, but that's where they were from.
What was her name again, Patrick? Loki and
Lokai and Bele, Bele, Bella, Belle.
Ella, isn't that 50 Shades?
Fred, we miss you, Fred. Fred would have known this.
Oh, totally he would.
Yeah, but they have for anybody who's interested, especially with today's current environment with racism going on, let this be your last battleground. Address it. That was Star Trek's way of addressing.
That was such a mind blow to me because I didn't understand what was going on in the first place. And I'm like watching it and you're like, well, clearly that guy's black on one side and white on the other. And that guy's white on black. You know, it was like, they totally are being ridiculous. What is wrong with these people? And then you grow up and realize that this is a racism thing. And like, I don't understand how nobody else has gotten this. This doesn't make sense to me.
And what the Commander Bele, whatever, Bele, that was played by Frank Gorshin, who later went on to star in the Batman series as the Riddler.
The Joker, the Riddler.
Oh, cool.
Oh, the Riddler.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Wasn't the Riddler Jim Carrey?
That was in the movies.
That's way into the future. That's more modern time.
That was in the movies.
Yeah.
We're talking about Adam West Batman.
Gotcha.
And was Batman on opposite Star Trek back then?
No, I think Batman was on way earlier during the day.
Yeah,
because I remember coming in from school to watch Batman.
Same bat time.
I think at one point in time they scheduled them opposite, and I'm like, oh, that is so mean. But
The Riddler version with Jim Carrey was in the early 90s with the Val Kilmer movie, Batman and Robin, which was terrible, but it was, I think that was early 90s because that was after Tim Burton turned over the reins. Wasn't it Joel Schumacher who did it? But
yeah.
And then back in the 60s was Cesar Romero was the Joker and all the boom and the pow and the really colorful special effects.
Onomatopoeia.
Eartha Kitt.
Yeah.
Cesar Romero, and then Eartha Kitt as Catwoman, or Julie Newmar as Catwoman.
They came later on. Yep.
Yeah. And Burgess Meredith played the Penguin, who later went on to be Mick. Yeah, Mick and Rocky. He played the trainer in Rocky.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people who got on the show and they wound up becoming famous in their own right. So it's interesting watching the older shows and you go, wait, I know that guy. Like one of the very first Little Shop of Horrors movie that was done in black and white has a teenage Jack Nicholson in it.
Yep.
So there's a lot of little cute films.
Isn't he he plays the dentist, right? He's the dentist.
No, the dentist was someone else, wasn't it?
No, yeah, the dentist was someone else. He was.
Oh, the dentist was the best part of the whole thing.
So yeah, it was really, and in of course the movie they changed the ending because the ending that they were going to do based on the play did not test well. So they re-shot the ending.
What was the ending?
The ending on the play, the plant wins, kills everybody, and it takes over the entire world. All of Audrey's two offspring takes the world over.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And they did that in the movie, but everyone liked Rick Moranis so much that they left with a foul feeling about it, and they hated it. So that's why all of a sudden you see his hand pops up out of the ground and he electrocutes Audrey too.
Yeah.
Because they wanted him to survive.
Yeah, because I did the play in high school, and it was like you go through the end of it, and like, wait, the plant wins? What? It was like, oh my God.
The plant wins.
Yeah.
It's like the most random story ever. Yeah, the plant comes along. Why don't they just like put weed killer on it or something?
It's probably what's going to actually happen in reality. The plant's going to just take over.
Well, who knows? Then that's to be the next thing we have to look. We've had locusts, we've had the coronavirus, we've had earthquakes, we have flooding. Next thing you know, they're going to be carnivorous plants followed by zombies.
And then the aliens will come. That's when the aliens are going to show up and go, hold on, guys. You got plants and zombies. We need to help you.
Yeah.
We already have carnivorous plants, and there's some enzyme that takes over. What is it? What did it takes
THC.
over?
That's what it is.
No. There's some kind of parasite that takes over like some kind of bug and it makes them into a zombie, basically.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Oh, I've heard it.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
That's what The Last of Us.
Yeah, the same thing with rodents.
Yeah, that's what The Last of Us was based off of. Was that?
Yeah.
It's basically the apocalypse.
Yeah.
2020 is the apocalypse.
At least we've got Star Trek.
Speaking of, we should get to the episode.
Which we're going to get back into it. The first on our short we're going to talk about was Children of Mars. Children of Mars was a really good set-in to what went on before Picard started. So if you guys haven't watched Picard out there, feel free to go through our podcast and watch Picard from the beginning and sync up our podcast as we talk about each episode. But Children of Mars, really, it was one of the only shorts that basically only had one word of dialogue in the whole thing, where it's actually spoken dialogue. So what did you guys think?
It was a brilliant silent movie.
Yeah, they did a really good job for no dialogue. And when you say dialogue, was that when the mother and the daughter were talking on the phone? Is that the only part where there's dialogue?
No, the real dialogue actually happens when, where is it here?
I don't remember them saying anything at all.
Get up. Yeah, no, get up. When the girls were fighting in the hall.
Yeah.
Girls are fighting. Yeah.
They're fighting, and one girl, she screamed to the other one, get up, when she wanted to pound her. That's the only time. Everything else really was not real dialogue. I mean, one girl, she was talking to her mom, but you never hear her really talk to her mom. She was doing the tongue thing.
My first note was tongues.
Okay.
Yep, she was doing the tongue thing. And the other girl was mad at her dad. She just cut him off in mid-video.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought the episode was really, really moving and had a lot of emotion and kind of significance to it I mean, it had a lot of depth and it added a lot more to that story of Mars being destroyed and obviously how that played into Picard. Yeah, it was sad, to be honest. You just watch it, you go, oh God, it just felt sad.
Yeah, the interesting thing I like looking at this one is the conflict you're having between these two girls that, I mean, just that high school, teenage angst, and you pit it against each other. It's not pretty. And it's funny how you see the fight start and they're starting to fight and everyone's gathering around. Girl fight, I remember memories like that. And then it's like, I don't want to watch these girls knock the hell out of each other. I don't like watching this violence. This is not cool. And then their fight gets really, really ugly. And then you can kind of see the reaction of everyone like oh, no, we don't want it to be that ugly. And then she's like, get up. And punching her and you got blood flowing and it gets gnarly. So you got that side of this, but the other side of this, the beautiful Star Trekky thing I like about this is something happens, and it's not pretty, but something happens that unites these girls by the end of the flick. It's that common ground, the enemies become friends, and because they've got this common thing to worry about now.
Yeah, it's that kind of common Star Trek motif where there's some event that binds people together and brings them together or not humanity, but as species to fight the not common enemy, but brings them together and binds them. That's definitely the motif in Star Trek, and it definitely picked up with that. And I was actually, when I was watching it too, it was going back to what Captain Adams said earlier about not ever even being able to envision some of the technology, like, wow, I can't believe we have this or have that now. But I was watching this, thinking, watching all the kids in school and how they were kind of learning and all that, thinking, wow, I could actually see that being what school could be like in the future. I mean, how they had the holographic interfaces and, the games some of the kids were playing and things like that, thinking it doesn't seem that far-fetched anymore, anything like that. I think Star Trek, like I think I said when I was on last time, it always seems to be grounded in a reality, just pushed to the future, but realistically pushed to the future, where you can, that's how I felt, where you go, oh, I can see that actually happening 100 years from now with them, children working in an environment like that.
In my opinion, Star Trek has always been about the personality struggles where science fiction happens to be the backdrop. It's not the driving part of the story, it's the sci-fi. The driving part of the story is personalities, conflicts, and the striving to maintain or to get better.
And also, too, that we all have that commonality. We're all the same. I mean, they use sci-fi as a way to veil it, But what they're saying in the sci-fi episodes is we're the same as the aliens because we're all beings that are just trying to survive. And they're trying to bring that back to, Earth, where it's like we're all human beings. We all have a commonality no matter what happens, or if we don't like each other, or, if we have problems with each other, we're still human.
Like one of the things which will let you know how, no matter how much time goes by, people are the same, is I'm going to give you a quote and let's see if you guys could tell when this was done. The children now love luxury. They have bad manners, contempt for authority. They show disrespect for elders, and they love to just chatter in their place instead of exercise. Children are tyrants, not servants of their household.
I'd say the 1950s.
I say, why are you quoting me?
I'll go even further than that. I'll go 1800s.
I would say Victorian times. I bet you Victorian England.
Nope, Socrates, 469
Oh,
before
wow.
Christ
Way
BC.
back. Hey, I'm the closest one. The price is right? I win, right?
It
Not the
shows
closest
you-
with not going over. Okay.
It shows you that no matter who through time, people are basically the same, and they deal with the same issues, except we have a different backdrop. And that's what Star Trek looks at us looking to be the better part of ourselves. And that's what this whole thing with the Children of Mars was about. Because even though we never got a full story on why they hated each other, other than, the redhead girl was a ginger, and we all know how gingers can be.
Hey,
But they show how they...
There's probably some xenophobia going on.
Yeah,
I mean,
a little bit. And how they had him sitting underneath Grow and Achieve. I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting, like you said, Captain Adams, about it, the backdrop just changes, but humanity or the same issues, it's cyclical. I mean, the human condition keeps dealing with the same issues over time. And I wonder, sometimes I'm watching Star Trek or anything like that, and I wonder philosophically, will they still, even no matter what the backdrop is, let's say 500 years from now in the future and the Federation exists, obviously we'll make strides to become better as, a species or humanity or the Federation does, but will we ever overcome these same issues really? Because they're kind of ingrained into our DNA. Or is it just something we're constantly battling with no matter what the time frame?
well, I really hope to God that when we're that far in the future, they have good mental health and we won't have to go through that because we have good mental health.
Well, that's true.
And it is changing. I mean, things, it takes time to change those kind of ingrained attitudes and mores, that society has. So,
but it's like the example, I think, is that with this show, we see how the ginger, she's having problems at home and then she takes it out on Kima. And I think that goes back to the whole, what I was saying before with the mental health services, like nowadays, we don't have any of that. And that's why we see bullying and problems and that kind of a thing and hatred towards one another. And I think if in the future they would have better mental health facilities and we would have less of those problems.
You bring up a good point, because a lot of times the anger is being directed at a convenient target rather than the source of why the anger is there.
Right.
Like Ginger, she was mad at her dad and she just took it out on the other girl. She was the target.
Exactly.
And there was no reason for it. So you pick up a really good point.
Yeah. My dad's a psychologist, and the standard definition for that is called displaced anger. When you're displacing your anger, you're taking it from one thing and displacing it upon something else. And that's basic human psychology. Everybody does it. You're pissed off at this, so you take it out on somebody else.
Yeah, Ginger should just leave Marianne alone.
And then she kind of starts losing the fight a little bit in the hallway. She's like the bully. Yeah, and then she gets
Until
thrown
she
to the
got
ground.
hit. When she got hit in her nose, and she's like, "Nobody makes me bleed my own blood."
Nobody.
And then that was it. She was, after that point, she was whipping ass. But
I don't blame her.
But fighting didn't solve anything. I mean, it's an
didn't.
aggression. Yeah, we don't see it solve any problem here.
But if someone hits you in the nose and you're at school and you're already going to get suspended, fuck it. Just go after the person.
Just to hell with it, yeah.
Just fuck it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of hitting in the nose, it was like in the episode when Leland gets punched in the face by Michael.
Twice.
Yes.
Twice, one for each
Twice.
parent.
Yeah. Talk about satisfying.
This is for my mother, and this is for my father.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about violence like this, how violence can, it's not a solution to the problem, but it certainly feels a lot better, doesn't it?
No.
Sometimes it
Sometimes.
feels like it doesn't, and it's really interesting that aspect of it.
With Michael, I mean, it wasn't violence per se. It was Here's the thing. Violence would be her going crazy and being upset and getting on him and just smacking him one after the other after the other. That's violence. What I see with her, where she just gave him the 2 quick punches in the nose, I felt it was more justice because he took her parents away, and this was how she was responding to that, you know? And it wasn't violence like it was a controlled violence. You hurt me, I'm gonna hurt you back. 1, 2, we're done, we're good now. And then she goes on, and I don't see that as violence.
But she didn't say we're good now, because she said this is not over. So
good point.
Yeah.
And then that poor punching bag, the next scene, just got wailed on.
And that's the healthy way to do it.
Yeah.
And with Spock was just needling her through that hole.
Oh my God.
It was like, dude, just stop. You're going to get
Stop calling her dramatic. It's really pissing her off.
You're going to get socked in the nose, man.
But towards the end of the episode, you saw how much Spock was still firmly in her camp.
Yeah.
I know we're jumping around on this one, on Red Angel, but that's okay.
By the way, we're starting a Discovery episode. We're going from Children of Mars to Discovery.
Yeah, we've transferred over to Red Angel, which was the episode. So we're kind of jumping around a little bit.
So, so Marvel has Captain America, and Captain America gave us America's ass. Well, Discovery has given us Spock's ass.
Well, can we see it then?
That thing was a thing of beauty. Did you not?
I honestly did not see that.
I didn't get that note.
When did they show it?
In the suit.
He's in that spacesuit.
when he straps Michael into the chair and he's walking back. I mean, come on. Every homo I know saw that.
Oh, I'm going back and I'm looking at that.
Is that a new phrase?
I was probably looking at my iPad typing notes in.
So the galaxy has given us Spock's ass. America has Captain America's ass. The galaxy has Spock's.
Wait, is that something written by Lin-Manuel? There's a line in Hamilton I didn't see about every, what was it? What was you just said? Every homo I know?
Yeah.
Stop being so binary.
It was still pretty cool. Well, they did bring up that episode. If you remember Georgiou.
We're going to have some DEF CON level fun.
Yeah, let's start at the beginning of the episode. I mean, let's get into it.
So at the beginning of the episode, they showed Ariam dead.
Yeah.
Yes, and that was touching.
It was touching, but I didn't get it because I don't understand this. Why on earth would you eject Ariam out of an airlock so she's floating into space, and then you get in a shuttle, you go and get Ariam, you bring her back, you delete her memories, and then you eject her out into space again? I was like, what was the point of that?
Well, it's like somebody gets ejected out of an airlock, and then you hold a funeral service, so you've got to recover them, then hold the service. And by the way,
how 1950s?
But they did it because they erased her memory so that no one could go back in and get the information about control or the probe.
Well, I was looking at that too, just for the information's sake of it. But I would think, they did not have to show us them popping the lid off. The popping the lid off thing, it's like, oh, why are they showing us that? And then I realized, probably the reason they're doing that is because it's a recyclable part. I mean, that part of technology, you would pop the lid off and let somebody else be able to use it in the future. So some recovery is useful. So I can see where that would make sense.
Yeah, and going to retrieve her body from, just from floating around in space, I mean, it's the appropriate thing to do for a colleague and a friend.
They ejected it out into space again.
But in a torpedo tube. It's a more natural way to celebrate,
It's a tradition that goes back.
It's a tradition in the Navy.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a naval tradition when they would, put the body, wrap up the dead body of a sailor, then drop him into the ocean.
And the tradition also is because they didn't have storage for dead people on board ship. So they just throw them out in the ocean. Yeah.
So tell me, if you were out in the Navy and you're on a ship and you have a crewman go overboard, fall into the ocean, would you guys go out in a boat, go and grab him, bring him back, do the funeral, and then drop him in the ocean again?
Yeah.
No shit, really? That's actually a thing?
They have a thing called search and rescue. This is a real thing. Yeah, man overboard. They go search and rescue. They launch a ginormous chopper, with the guy hanging down from the bottom of it to go rescue downed pilots. And if it's not a rescue mission, it becomes a recovery mission.
SNR.
Search and rescue. So you will be recovered if at all possible. And
they'll bring you back, and they'll bring you back, and then the crew will say something, and they'll have a thing. The ships now, I don't think they have a morgue on them as well, but usually what happens back until recent times, that's something I'm gonna have to search, because when I got out. They were still kind of doing that. When somebody dies, they like you said, you wrap them up like a mummy. They put an American flag over the wrapped up part of it. You say some words, everyone says, and they condemn into the sea and slide it up, and it's gone. And it goes into the ocean. They did that because there were no storage.
I think it's more about the ceremony for giving people an opportunity to say goodbye, to grieve at that moment.
And if you can't find the body, there's a tradition called the missing man table, where it's a table that's set out for that person, and then that's what they use in order to commemorate the fallen person.
It's done for the honorable burial, essentially, of the fallen soldier. And then originally, I believe that was done out of a practical sense, because just the disease and the that would come with a dead body or anything, they couldn't store it on board, so they would have to get rid of it and put it out into the ocean. Otherwise, the rest of the sailors would get sick. During the Royal Navy in the Middle Ages and 17, 1800s, stuff like that. They would literally just have to get rid of the bodies after doing an honorable burial, so to avoid the disease on the board of the ship.
Now, for traditional, if you guys ever see it, every once in a while you'll see a table with a white cloth on it with a rose. That's normally called the missing man table. The white of the tablecloth is the intention or the pure heart of the person who responded to the country, who served the country. The rose is the blood that they shed and sacrificed. Or they have a red ribbon, which shows the love of the country. A slice of lemon on a bread plate is the bitterness fate, the fact that it's bitter that the person is gone. Salt on the table represents the tears that are being shed by the family. And the glass upside down is the fact that they can't partake anymore because they're no longer there. And the Bible, of course, is for spiritual strength. And the candle is for hope. And you have the empty chair is the representation of the person who's missing.
Wow.
So if you see that table, it's a great sign of respect. Where I work at my company, whenever they have Memorial Day, they put out a missing table. And that touched me that they actually knew about that and they had it set. So a little bit of background on the tradition. But yeah, burial in space. You would think they could store the body in a transporter buffer.
Yeah. And didn't they, at the end of Wrath and Khan, didn't they shoot Spock out into space?
Yep.
Yes, they did. And that's what brought him back.
They shot him to the planet, though.
Yeah, Genesis planet comes in handy in those situations.
Yeah, we brought him back.
Now, did anybody else notice that lately they've had some long fucking Turbolift rides?
That sucker lets you have a scene, man. It's not always as fast as you think it might be. Yeah, there's some long rides in that sucker, isn't it?
No, twice.
Discoveries before Enterprise and before TOS, before Next Gen. So maybe they just didn't have the hydraulics weren't up to snuff yet.
With the magic of editing, you can make any Turbolift ride seem quick or long.
It's like, seriously, she had enough time to talk to Tyler, do a little kissing and everything else while they're still going with nobody else coming in. Where the hell are they coming from?
At least some of them, they yell pause, and they pause the sucker for a little bit, and then they have the scene.
The reason why they have the pause in there is in case they do anything naughty.
In case you got to have kinky-time.
Chicka wow wow.
Kinky-time in the Turbolift,
Yeah, they have like a naughty button.
They call it a Turbolift ride, but it's not necessarily the kind of ride you think.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
The computer's always listening, and it determines by the content of your conversation that you need to slow the Turbolift down.
Variable Turbolift speed.
Right.
Yeah, maybe the Turbolift can sense the raise in body temperature or sweating and stuff naturally. It automatically slows down because they.
Is it just me, or is the Turbolift slow today? How are you doing?
Really? Why did Tyler walk out yelling "Kapla"?
Is the Turbolift slow today, or are you just happy to see me?
Man, if I was Michael and I was like walking to the Turbolift and I saw Ash in there, I'd be like, I'm taking the stairs.
The next one.
I'm taking the stairs. I need to get my steps in today.
I need to go take the Jeffries tube.
Exactly.
Yep.
I was going to ask you, drawing a blank on Miriam, the girl who they shot out in space.
Miriam, yes.
Yeah,
Miriam.
It's always moving seeing her when she was human, when they would show the footage of her being really, human with her boyfriend or husband. And it's sad, but I was trying to remember, what was the event that caused her, what accident did she have?
A shuttle crash.
Shuttle crash.
Yeah.
On the way back after the vacation.
That's right.
And it killed him and it maimed her.
Yep, that's right. Okay.
But what about, just to quote this, the paths of trillions of particles have been forever changed because she and her husband smiled at each other.
Yeah, that's pretty epic.
It made the universe less orderly.
That was beautiful.
I was like, oh my God.
That was beautiful.
That was.
I mean, her funeral was like the cap I needed from the end of the last episode.
And who knew
Yeah, it was
Doug
nice.
Jones could sing too? I mean,
Yeah.
is there anything
That
the
was
man
cool.
cannot do? Hello.
Yeah, Saru was singing a song. I mean, he was doing the Amazing Grace of the Kelpians.
The Kelpians.
Kelpians,
Yeah.
Do you think he was really singing? Do you think that was him, or do you think that's
Totally.
somebody else? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I bet it was.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was.
He's very talented.
He is a man of many talents.
And then they had a point to add a little comedy into the situation is when conversation was getting really heavy. And then Tilly just walks in. She goes, oh, I should have knocked, but the doors open by themselves anyway. So
I know, right? It's like, what are you going to do on a ship? All these doors open automatically. I was going to knock, but it was like, boom, just walk in on anybody. They should put some windows on these doors so you at least see what's going on.
Her face when she had to tell Michael that the neural map that was found in the data list image was hers. I mean, that just crushed me. Like, you could just hear it in her voice and see it in her face. She was like, I don't want to have to tell you this, but, you're the Red Angel. Hello.
And she's always the one to figure out this crucial data, or she's always, it's amazing, like throughout the series, she always, figures out this really, important pieces of information and stuff like that.
She won't be an ensign for long, that's for sure.
No,
that's cool.
No. And then you get Spock doing his sibling dig at her. And it's like, of course she's a Red Angel. She's always trying to take control with stuff she really shouldn't take control of. She has no power.
It's like, just go out and call her a drama queen. Just come right out and say it, Spock.
Yeah.
Come on.
Thanks for sharing with the class, Spock.
Yeah, that was funny.
Everybody else is like, how can we save her? How can we do this? Section 31 is like, trap it. Make it work for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always feel like there's a method to Spock's madness, though. Like, he's always digging and pushing, but I always feel like, he knows what he's doing. You know what I mean? He pulls a gun on everybody later, but I'm still like, yeah, he knows what he's doing. He's Spock.
Yeah, well, he honored.
Phaser.
He agreed with his sister's logic, Oh, did you notice that most of the time when you see Leland, I picked up on this because I was watching it after I had my last little gummy bear here, that anytime Leland, most times Leland was on the screen, that they had lighting underneath to make him look slightly evil. Most of his scenes, not all of them, but a good many of his scenes, if you watch Leland, the lighting is always coming up underneath to give him more of an evil cast.
Yeah.
And I think that was a foreshadow.
So either the lighting guys don't like him or it's a foreshadow. Yeah.
Yeah, for what he was. So
okay, now I don't remember the next episode, but all I remember is when Leland is going to override the system and that thing sticks him in the eye.
Yeah.
What is the thing with
Again
Star
with
Trek
the
and
eyes.
eyes?
Right in the eye.
Yeah.
Come on, people. They have a thing with eyes. Someone has an eye
Seriously.
fetish there.
Is he dead now? I don't remember.
it's like Disney likes killing moms. Disney like killing moms, and Star Trek likes poking people in the eye.
Disney has a problem with moms, with parents.
Yeah.
They were trying to make a point with Leland. Get it?
Oh,
Ba-dum-bum-bum.
So is Leland dead? Is Leland dead?
No. In the next episode, we find out he gets injected with
Nanoprobes.
he tries to fight him. Yeah, but it
His
doesn't
brain
quite
got
work that way.
injected, or his eye got injected?
His eye got injected, but the nanoprobes then took over everything else.
Okay.
Yeah, it does not end well for Leland.
Leland becomes 6 of 9.
Dude,
Basically.
the needle in the eye, that made me cringe.
I jumped too. I forgot that happened when I rewatched it. I was like, oh God, and I jumped.
You know what this is going to do? It's going to ruin all the people who have iRetina scan technology. It's like a lobby against them because everyone who watched Star Trek is going to be like, I ain't putting my eye up next to that thing. Fuck that.
No.
We ain't scanning none of that
It's
shit.
like, screw that.
No. I'll put you can have my thumbprint, but I ain't putting my eyeball near that.
Seriously, I'm not doing LASIK anymore. Forget that. I'm just going to wear my contacts and glasses.
LASIK is scary.
So it's like not gonna happen. But you know how Georgiou, she looked at Stamets like he was a dish to be eaten.
That scene
just gonna ask
was
that, yeah.
awesome.
That was so awesome.
And you can only imagine the crazy shit that went down in her universe because, oh my God.
Well, she said that her and Stamets had DEFCON level fun, so, you know.
Oh, man.
He was like, he's gay, right? And she's like, well, in my universe, he's a pansexual and he's fun.
Seriously.
Yeah, don't be so binary. And so are you, Papi.
Yeah, you too, Papi. He's like, did you call me Papi? No, girl. Bitch, you better step off.
That was funny. It's like, you're so much more smarter than my Stamets was, but a lot more neurotic.
Yeah.
Have you thought
take
about medication
for that?
And Tilly's
That
like
was
the
good.
rest of us, just walks into the scene like, what just
the hell
happened?
She goes, what the hell just happened?
Tilly's like, I need to knock more.
Yeah,
But you-
Tilly's
but you-
going to knock on the wall or something every time
Not
she comes
wall.
in. Tilly approaching.
Seriously.
Just put a necktie on the door.
Thank you so much, Captain, for installing those doorbells in our ship. I really do appreciate that.
Of course. The last couple of times I've walked in on you, I wish I didn't. So that was for my safety as well. You know, but if you notice that even though that Georgiou was hitting on Stamets, and when she hit on you, that there was jealousy. So it shows there's hope for their relationship because, you know, you was like, what are you doing talking to my man? And vice versa. So there's hope for them still.
Later in the episode, when Dr. Culber tries to talk to Stamets about, you know, and he's like, now is not the time. To me, it felt like it was when Culber went to see the Admiral, who, you know, was a former psychologist, and she said that she said love is a choice. It's not something you make once. It's something it's a choice you make again and again.
Again and again. That was a good line.
Yeah, so I think Dr. Culber is choosing to love Stamets again, and that's what he was trying to like convey that to him at that moment, and he's like, no, just this isn't the time. So I mean, that's what I thought.
Yeah, we're trying to capture a red angel over here. We can't talk about this right now.
Yeah, that was a wild thing for Michael to basically her faith in the science and Spock's faith in Michael and the logic to let her die, because basically she died. She flatlined until the air came back. And it's like, wow. It's like, well, let's kill Michael to catch the angel.
And isn't it interesting that science is like completely distant in 2020, but it's what we rely on in Discovery?
It is. And you know, you also hear the love that Spock had for his sister. He couldn't say it right out, but he said, like, please don't die or I'm going to get arrested again.
Right.
Yeah.
And just the very moments of, what the fuck are we doing here? What if this doesn't work? I mean, like, now you're having this thought?
I thought it was hilarious, though, when they start freaking out and they're like, we got to save her before she dies. And Spock's like, that's the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He really stood his ground.
Yeah, he stood his ground, but the Red Angel shows up and then she, shoots Michael with the red beam and brings her back to life, essentially. But how did they know that they knew the Red Angel would show up, that was the whole thing. But how did they know that the Red Angel would be able to revive her?
Because
they didn't.
Well, no, they did know.
Well,
and the reason why is because of the grandfather paradox. So they thought Michael was in the suit, and you can't have your younger version die if your future version's around. So the future version has to come back and revive or save the younger version. Yeah, and that's why they killed her.
No, I know, I got that part, but like I thought like the Red Angel would show up, just before Michael completely suffocates and save her because of the grandfather paradox, like you said. But then they actually let her actually flatline, and then the Red Angel shows up and zaps her with that red beam that actually kind of revives her and brings her back to life.
Well, that's because when you die, you don't die right away, and you're still able to be revived after some time.
They're playing chicken with the timeline. I mean, that's what it is. And meanwhile, on the Red Angel side of things, they're like, let's see, I'm going to go in at, let's see. I remember we went into the last second. I don't know why, but that's the way we did it. That's probably what happened.
The Red Angel's like, are you freaking kidding me? I got shit to do. And you want me to like make a detour to save your ass?
Yeah, totally.
I remember the first time I saw this, I was shocked at the end of the episode when you saw it was her mom.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been established her mom was supposed to be dead. No wonder the DNA matched because, there was maternal DNA. They both shared that. But when she came out, and I was like, what?
But their brain patterns still would have been different. So the Red Angel that was in the neural link was Michael's.
Yeah, because it wouldn't have been 100%.
Yeah.
Oh, you could bring up a good point.
They've flipped the angels back and forth because it's not just Michael, it's also the mom.
Her mom,
it just happens to be at this point in time, it's not
and
Michael
that
coming back.
Really, really good. I mean, and then when Michael dies, the look on Georgiou's face, she's got have more than just a friend feeling for Michael.
Even before that, the way she grabbed her on the shoulder just before. I mean, it's like Georgiou's like, she's getting emotional right here.
But Georgiou, if you guys go back to season 1, Georgiou was her mother. Like, Georgiou raised Michael, and that was her mother. So when she comes back to this parallel universe, even though she didn't raise her in this parallel universe, she still has those mother feelings towards her.
Yeah, I mean, they still had the relationship. It just wasn't the same. In fact, it'd be curious to see what the relationship was like in the alternate universe. But yeah, it's still, the motherly thing is still there.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we'll hopefully we'll get to see that when Georgiou gets her own show.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
It was a well-crafted episode with a lot of little twists in it, and how it's a credit to the actor, because you understand Leland's motivation, but you don't like him. He's the type of person that by any means necessary, I don't care who gets hurt, the loss of a few is better for the greater good. I wouldn't try to save. And even the security officer said that, which was a really good scene. So, like, I'm glad you were there, because if you weren't there.
I like that they put that scene in there too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like Georgiou said, it's our best intentions often are what cause the most harm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I mean, Leland probably thought he had the best intentions when, he was doing what he did, but those best intentions ended up getting Michael's parents killed.
Yeah. I always like that. I think always that makes a good villain, not a villain per se, but the antagonist or whatever in a movie or series, is that you can understand where they're coming from and maybe what they're doing, but you disagree with it to a certain extent. You know what I mean? You can kind of oh yeah, I kind of see their point of view, even though I wouldn't do it that way, or they're taking it too far to the extreme or something like that. Because there's a method to their madness to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're doing what you think is right. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the whole thing with the Black Panther movie, while Killmonger was actually looked at as somebody who wanted to do the right thing, but went about it the wrong way.
Went about the wrong way,
and
exactly.
If you ever saw the movie, he had the right idea, but it's like Chris Rock's whole thing. He's like, I wouldn't have done it, but I understand.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people said that about like Thanos in the Marvel movies, where you actually felt bad for him at the end to a certain extent. You saw what he was trying to do, but he took it a little too far, but he almost felt like a sympathetic character to a certain extent.
Well, because he didn't think he was doing anything wrong. I mean, to him, it was the only logical, and practical solution to the problems of the universe was to get rid of half the people. So in his mind, he's not a villain.
Yeah. And that's the best way to display a villain, to have a villain think that he's a good guy doing a good thing, just in the wrong way, in a way that other people wouldn't do. But that's a great way to portray a villain. I think when they have the villain where it's just all evil and there's nothing behind it, and you don't know the history or anything, it's just falls flat.
Yeah, it's dumb. It almost makes it, like a pointless. But when you can sympathize or understand, like General Zod in Man of Steel, played by I think Michael Shannon, where I thought his villainous character was wonderful, because he had a whole method to what he was trying to do. He was basically trying to save the Kryptonian race, and he didn't really want to destroy Earth, but it was built into his DNA that he had to save Krypton at any and all costs. And he, which then you go, wow, okay, he's doing what he's supposed to do for, his people. He just went about it the wrong way and was obviously destroying Earth by, terraforming it. But you understood where he was coming from. Just like with Leland, I think Leland and Georgiou, where a lot of times you're like, well, I get it. You can't play everything by the book all the time. You gotta, protect the Federation.
I think Georgiou and Leland, though, are granted, they both are Section 31, but they're both, they're so separate from each other. Mm-hmm. They both have their own agendas. And Georgiou, we still don't know what Georgiou's complete deal is.
Yeah, true motivation,
Yeah, because there's always some calculating, there's always some reason behind what she does. It's never just to be nice.
Isn't her deal to survive in this new universe where she's not the Empress, because she's sort of stuck here now, and so she has to carve out a new life for herself?
Yeah,
that's going to be interesting. Yeah, I think so, because it's going to be interesting to see, because that's going to be the question that's going to be answered when her series pops up.
She has her own series?
Deal? Yeah.
She's going to, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's going to be the Section 31.
Yep. Where have you been?
I knew Section 31 was coming. I didn't know Georgiou was going to be a part of it.
Yeah, that's the whole reason is for her. Yeah.
Oh, I'm psyched. Okay.
Yeah.
I think we're going to find out a whole lot more about Georgiou. I think, like you just said, Patrick, I think there's more. There's definitely, she's like an onion. She just reveals a little bit of a layer, and then you go, oh, I hate her. Oh, I like her. I hate her. I like her. Oh, wow, she's good.
I just hope they don't give us too much, because if you give us too much, it kind of spoils it. It's nice having the mystery.
Totally. I
Yeah.
think the mystery is really important. A lot of times you don't need to know the whole story because that's what makes the character, you know?
Yeah.
I think she's so complex that even if you delved into her story, there would be so much story that you would always be finding out something new.
Yeah.
And then Michelle Yeoh is a hell of an actress too.
Yeah,
So
she's
she's got
freaking
the
awesome.
chops to carry it. She's mesmerizing to see on the screen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You remember when she first came out? It was in James Bond with Pierce Brosnan?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wasn't she in
became-
Crouching
Crouching-
Tiger, Hidden Dragon
Yep.
too?
That
Crouching
too.
Tiger, Hidden
Really?
Dragon also.
Yes,
All
in
that good
that?
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And she was in Crazy Rich Asians.
Yep.
Well,
she
I'm
played
sorry.
the mom.
What Asian person in Hollywood wasn't in Crazy Rich Asians? I mean, you know, that's...
Now, going back to the episode, I thought it was very interesting when Leland was telling Michael how her parents were working for Project Daedalus and how they were a part of Section 31. And all this time, Michael thought she was the reason why her parents died because she wanted to see the supernova when in fact they were there for the energy of the supernova.
Yeah, it's the classic, the kid's point of view doesn't actually reveal what's going on, so you painted a certain
Right.
picture in your head. In actuality, it was more like, well, you just don't steal time crystals from the Klingons. It's kind of like Doc Brown, you just don't get the plutonium from the Libyans. It's the same problem with the time machine.
Yeah.
And it's finally her realization and that weight that really sent her through an emotional roller coaster. I mean, to see the range of emotions, went across Michael's face was really good acting by Sonequa. So,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
and gosh, I've never seen a more torture of her screaming in that chair the entire time. It
my
was
God.
so
Suffocating.
uncomfortable to watch her go through
Yeah.
that. But you realize that this level of acting that Sonequa has is the reason why you feel so damn uncomfortable watching it, because it really is like it's getting to you.
No, it's brutal. It
Yeah.
really is brutal. It's uncomfortable to watch.
I mean, you're sitting there going, "Why are they watching this on the bridge? Could somebody hit the mute button, please? At least mute it."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Do you think Leland, when Leland was telling Michael about her family, do you think he genuinely felt bad for what happened?
Yeah, I think
He
did.
feels guilty.
Yeah.
He feels guilty as hell.
It seemed like it on his face that he felt bad about it.
Yeah. I mean, they were his friends too.
It was
so
a messed up thing to do, and he knows it.
not only his colleagues, but they were his friends as well. So
Yeah.
and he had great respect for Michael's mom. I mean, he said she was a great engineer. So
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I was just wondering again if he was, I don't know, as part of a bigger piece of the puzzle that he was kind of playing her a little bit, you know how.
I doubt it was that deep. No, the whole other thing about Section 31, and of course when Burnham's talking to Tyler about it, you're talking about the reason you're with the people you're with and the compass, the moral compass of it. What is the course you're going? With Section 31, it's just a little bit specific and more different than what overall Starfleet. Everyone gets in the Starfleet for one reason, but you get to Section 31 for a different reason, and you're working for those guys, and it's not cool.
yeah.
Yep, like stealing time crystals and stealing plutonium from the Libyans.
Red
the big
Angel
time
and
machine.
people,
Yeah, like Doc Brown. That's a great analogy, Rocky.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Marty, they found us.
I don't know how, but they found us. Yeah.
Run for it, Marty.
Run for it, Marty!
Run for it, Marty.
Don't sleep with your mother.
Oh, seriously. That would be, Can you imagine you're in there sitting, somebody says, "Why are you so depressed?" I just fucking found out I'm my own father. How bad would that be? Oh my
That
God,
would be
that
creepy.
would be horrible. Okay, now we're getting towards the last part of our show. We ran out of shorts, so there will be no shorts. However, next week we're going to watch Perpetuity in Infinity. Did I say that right?
Sounds better than what I could say.
Perpetual
That sounds like
Infinity.
something else I should Google later.
Yeah, Perpetual Infinity. So
Okay.
yeah, I think that said that right. That's the next one. Original air date was March 28th, 2019. Burnham receives the reunion she's been longing for, but it doesn't quite go as she imagined. And Georgiou and Tyler both feel that something's up with Leland. They probably can't put their eye on it.
There's something up his eye.
Seriously, because the eyes have it. We'll
I
be watching
think
that.
there's something wrong with Leland.
They will be watching him closely.
Very closely.
They'll keep an eye on him.
A couple eyes, if they can spare them.
We really should stop with the eye jokes. It's like, oh my God. And we're going to have a lot of discussion discussion, well, not this episode, but next, because some people were talking about whether control was the birth of the Borg, and we're going to have discussions on that. So
that's my next question. I had written down right here. Do you guys think control is the birth of the Borg?
We'll talk about that one.
Sorry, we don't have enough time for this episode.
There's definitely going to be stuff in there.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is that thank you again for letting us grab you. I see that you still in your gardening attire. We'll put you right back where you were. So hopefully people will just saw a flash and don't even think you were gone there, Ryan. So we're going to try to set you back perfectly.
Yeah.
Heather, thank you for continuing to work on that spore drive.
Oh, of course, Captain. And I promise we will get rid of that spore monster here in 1 second.
Oh,
Spore
great.
monster?
Oh, I didn't. Nope. Everything's good. Everything's cool. We have everything under control. We're good.
I just tried to initialize it. Patrick, you didn't fix it yet because it still says cannot fast travel while enemies are near. I don't see anything on our sensors, so we're gonna.
Hello, we've been doing a
take
podcast.
his-
I haven't had a chance to fix it.
Fine.
Just give me
Multitask.
just give me 10 minutes and everything will be fine. I swear.
All right. Okay. We'll go to the end. Rocky, thanks for the adjustment on there. I'm going to have to ask you to add a frequency generator that's tuned to keep Tribbles out of my area because they took my coffee and I'm not feeling it. So don't forget, everybody, come tune in next week. Thanks again for everyone for watching, listening. Find us on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, everywhere that podcasts are found. All the information will be included at the end of this tagline. Be safe out there. Wear your mask. Wash your hands. We don't want to hear that we lost anybody out there that listens to us. So please don't only just have a great week, make it so.
Starfleet Underground, beaming into a podcast feed near you. Log on to our website at starfleetunderground.com and send your comments and questions to thecollective@starfleetunderground.com. Follow us on Twitter at StarfleetUnderG and on Facebook and Instagram, we're Starfleet Underground.